willing to bet no matter how long you've been keeping reptiles, there are at least a few you've never heard of. And today, we're going over the top 5 intermediate pet reptiles you didn't even know existed. My name's Adam, this is Diamond, you're watching Wickens Wicked Reptiles, stick around. As we go through this list, if there's something that you maybe never heard of, let me know in the comments section. Hey, you're right, I never heard of that. Or, hey, silly goose, I know what that animal is. I like to hear that too, because, learning is the fun part. Let's learn together, or whatever the motto of this channel is. Okay, enough rambling. Started off, number 5, coolest turtle in the world, Matamata Turtles. If you say they're not the coolest turtle in the world, please let me know in the comment section what the heck is. These are broad-headed, hammerhead shark-looking goofy shell boys. These are giant turtles. Maybe not as big as a sea turtle, obviously, right? But they do get, on the big end, up to 40 pounds and up to 2 feet long. That is ridiculous for a turtle. Now, more commonly, you'll see them 16 to 20 inches, but still, that's a big turtle, man. These guys are big. They look kind of like a leaf. Like if you saw them on a riverbed, you just think, oh, there's a leaf down there. That's kind of what they're trying to do. They've got a very dexterous neck. I think dexterous is a word, right? Like they have a lot of dexterity in their neck. Just get on with it. You're an animal guy, not a word guy. Come on. Now, obviously, they're a big animal, so they need big enclosures. So that means a big aquarium. And they do need a land area, although they're gonna spend almost all their time in the water, but big animals make big poops. Big poops. And if it's a water receptacle, basically the entire thing, that means that you're gonna need a filtration system that's able to take care of that. And that might be expensive, might be some work to maintain. So do your research on that and make sure you get something that's adequate, because it's gonna be a lot of poop, man. It's a lot of poop. Something I found interesting, 2 things, and that's why they're on the intermediate list rather than the beginner list. If you want to know about beginner animals you didn't know existed, boom, already did that one a couple weeks ago. But the reason that they're intermediate, in my opinion, 2 things. They need live food. So like turtles that I have, right? I have a Mississippi map turtle and a yellow belly slider. They feed on mostly pellets and like food, like not alive foods, basically is what I'm trying to say here. So with Matamata turtles, they need to eat fish. They need to eat live things. And that is something that is going to be a little bit more work, because you'll need to be stocking your tank with fish all the time. And it's just not as easy as just sprinkling in some pellets and some not alive foods, like you would with a lot of other species of turtles that are pretty common. The second thing is they like a pretty warm temperature in comparison to most other common turtles. So for example, the turtles that I keep them at around 77 degrees in the water, and they can go much cooler than that. That's just where I find the sweet spot. Matamata turtles, they need 80 to 90 degree water temperatures, which is way hotter, or way warmer, I should say, than, painted turtles, yellow belly slider, things like that, right? And a lot of heaters don't even go this high, or you might need several heaters or an industrial tank size heater, because it's a lot of water, right? So it's a lot of water that needs to be really warm in comparison. So they're not the easiest thing, but look at them. If you have these in your house and someone comes over, they're gonna stare at it like, what the heck is that? And to me, that's cool if you enjoy taking care of them. Number 4, cheap to buy, super underrated, painted Agamas, or clown Agamas. Now, we've talked about them on this channel before. Imagine a smaller, goofier looking bearded dragon, kind of, right? Diamond, you're the man. Nothing beats a bearded dragon, I tell ya. All jokes aside, very similar care. I don't think they eat vegetables or anything like that, so they're insectivores mostly. They're from Africa also, but otherwise, very similar care to a bearded dragon, but painted Agamas only get around a foot. So you can keep them in probably a smaller enclosure than you would keep with a bearded dragon. Should we do a top 5 reptiles that can live in a 75-gallon enclosure forever? If you think so, hit the like button. Let me know in the description and we'll make it. The only reason I think that they're on an intermediate list is just they need it dry and really hot. So I think a lot of people have an issue doing this correctly. So that's why. Realistically, a beginner could probably take care of a painted Agama or clown Agama, whatever you want to call them, pretty easily. And the reason I think that they make really amazing pets is because they're so handleable most of the time. There are a lot of people that I know that have them say they're exactly like a bearded dragon, where you can take them out, They don't squirm, they don't run from you. Most of the time they just sit there. Now obviously individuals are individuals, and just because I say, oh well, most bearded dragons, I know that some of them are Satan's spawn, but most of them aren't. Most of them are kind of like this, just awesome, which is why I always have Diamond out, because I can concentrate on this rather than him squirming and being a squirmy wormy. Okay, before we move on with this list, we've got a really cool animal coming up, by the way. Thank you to CuriosityStream for sponsoring today's video. CuriosityStream is an entertainment platform, a streaming service for those who want to know more, for those who have a genuine curiosity about the world. If you're looking for real info in a really entertaining way, without all the mumbo jumbo and sensationalization, CuriosityStream's platform has the programming that you would actually want to watch. This is made for us, history buffs, people who love nature. If you like geography, if you like learning about things, CuriosityStream can't be beat. Whenever I get involved with something, I research it to death. You guys know I'm in Costa Rica right now as you're watching this, and I couldn't find anything on any of the other streaming services that were very educational about the area that I was going to. I typed it into CuriosityStream and I found Costa Rica wildlife under the rainbow. I learned more in the first 45 seconds of this documentary than I knew in 10 hours of research before. There is so much I didn't know about the hierarchy of howler monkeys or the mating patterns of dart frogs, the topography. Like, I knew there was a mountain range, but I didn't know it was a volcanic mountain range. I guess it makes sense. Just the way that it was all laid out was amazing. And there are so many programs just like this on CuriosityStream. And right now, because you're a subscriber to this channel, you can get a full year of CuriosityStream for only $14.99. That's right, $14.99 for a whole year with code WWReptiles at the link below in the description and the pinned comment. Thank you so much again, CuriosityStream, for letting me be a part of this, watching cool entertainment, and sponsoring today's video. Number 3, okay, let's ruin it with an amphibian. Let's just do it. Let's just dive right into the amphibians. Budget frogs. These are the blobfish that isn't a fish, basically. They are goofy looking. I'm sorry, budget frogs, if you're watching. These will scream at you too, by the way, which is hilarious. So if you poke your budget's frog, it might puff up, try to be bigger than it actually is, which is already pretty big, 4 to 5 inches. It's a pretty big frog. And they'll scream at you, which is hilarious. Frogs who scream are hilarious. Now, budget's frogs, although they are almost completely aquatic, I would still give them a land area. I mean, they still could get out of the water, but they're gonna need a decent sized aquarium. A lot of people will keep them on a bare bottom. So again, do your research before you get any of these. Don't like, oh, the bald guy said a top 5 list. I know everything about budget. You don't know everything about budget's frogs. Do your research, please. In terms of frogs, it's not one that I would personally keep, but I think that they are super unique looking. They're very interesting, and they can eat massive prey items for their size. I know a lot of people who breed snakes, and it's a sad thing, but when you breed snakes, sometimes they don't make it, the babies, the failure to thrive, stillborn, stuff like that. And with those animals, you can feed them to other animals so that a life or potential life doesn't go to waste, right? The circle of life. Hakuna Matata. And it means no worries. What a wonderful phrase, or however the song goes. So I've seen these take down entire baby ball pythons, which is wild, because a baby ball python comes out, you know, yay, and 4 to 5 inches is, there's a joke in there somewhere. Anyway, these guys can take down pretty big prey items, so these are great to look at, but I mean, they're goofy looking. Sorry, like they're super goofy. Number 2, probably the most requested animal that I get talk about, a Bronia, or Mexican alligator lizards, a lot of people will call them. And people call them that because, well, they're kind of look like alligators and lizards made a baby, but smaller, and they're from parts of Mexico and Central America. So it's like a very intuitive name. I think they're wildly underrated because when I first started looking into these several years ago, they weren't as common. A lot of them were brought in, not a lot of captive breeding. So you'd get animals that weren't very socialized. They would try to bite, they would try to flee, they weren't very handleable. But the more we see captive breeding happening, the more handleable these animals become. So I think that they're going to jump up in popularity. They're actually not that expensive. And I think our boreal enclosures are really cool. Now, these are really simple to take care of because they don't need high temperatures at all. Like, a lot of people will keep them at a room temperature, always give them a gradient, right? So give them a basking spot and all that sort of thing. But they like kind of a higher to moderate type humidity, a lower temperature. They can become pretty handleable. Feeding them is fun, right? Who doesn't like feeding insects to their animal? And I mean, 6 to 12 inches, they're not that big. But look at their scales. It looks like each one of their scales was painted, like painstakingly painted by an amazing artist. They all look so unique, so cool. The detail is intricate. These are probably the most beautiful animal that you could actually get, or one of anyway. I think these are just stunning pieces of living art. Some of the coolest animals in the world come from Central America. And I guess as you're watching this, I'm in Central America right now. Am I gonna find any of these? I don't know. Guess you're gonna have to come back next week, hit the subscribe button so I can tell you all about Costa Rica, because I bet you it was awesome, even though right now it's before the trip and I haven't left yet and I've never been to Costa Rica, but I'm pretty sure it was awesome, so hit subscribe. That was a long-winded, just please, it's like, what? It's right there. All right, and number 1, don't worry, we're not gonna finish the list without doing a snake species, bamboo rat snakes. Bamboo rat snakes, if you know the channel, you know that I have a fascination or obsession with mandarin rat snakes, and I just won't get one because they need high humidity and low temperatures, and I don't have a room. Anyway, same thing with bamboo rat snakes, sometimes called black-banded trinket snakes. These are really cool snakes from Thailand. They come from forests, which are really cool, and the humidity is kind of high, moderate to high. So they're kind of unique to care for, and I think animals of this type of I guess, habitat where they need it humid and cool are normally an intermediate species for that reason, just because it's a little bit more difficult to do. These are not a dangerous snake. They're not a flighty snake. They become pretty handleable pretty easily. They are really small. Well, they're average size for a rat snake, I guess, if there is an average size. I'm talking about 3.5 feet-ish. I mean, of course, there's, you know, some are smaller, some are bigger, but 3.5 feet is generally where they top out at. Another reason that they're on this list instead of a beginner list is they're kind of difficult to get onto rodents as babies, but as soon as you get them onto rodents, then they'll flourish on rodents. If you're new to snakes, then we always like to feed rodents because they're easy and cheap and they're safe, and just things that eat other things are difficult to care for in captivity. The head stamp on them is, in my opinion, one of the coolest head stamps of any snake ever. They're just so unique looking. The way that they move is unique. They're just amazing. I think that they belong on the list, but I want to know what you have to say. What would you put on this list? If you had to make the top 5 intermediate reptiles you've never heard of, what would you put on the list? Let me know in the comment section below. I'd love to know. And if you have an idea for next week's video, throw it down there too. That's where I get all the ideas. And while you're down there, if you don't mind, hit the like button, hit subscribe, leave a comment. Like, all those things help so much, and it costs you nothing but a couple clicks of your mouse. And a special thank you, as always, to the Patreon supporters. You guys know about all sorts of crazy stuff we're doing in Costa Rica right now before everybody else. You get extra videos, you know about animals in my collection I haven't talked about yet, discounts on the merch, stuff like that. For as little as $1 a month, you can be part of the Patreon club too, and I'd really appreciate it. And I think that's it. Because we do videos twice a week, that means that I'll see you on Monday.